Have you ever wondered what would happen if Superman was to get a Frankenstein makeover? Well, the Superman monster, a seriously cool spin from the DC Elseworlds universe, does just that. Since his debut in 1940, Superman's been duking it out with Lex Luthor, who's been morphed from mad scientist to shady businessman over the years. But this story takes us back to Luthor's crazy lab days. In the Superman monster, penned by Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning, with some slick art by Anthony Williams and Tom Palmer, Superman gets the full-on Frankenstein treatment. This 1999 comic is a sequel to Batman Two Faces, another Elseworlds gem. The story starts with Peregrine White, a newspaper bigwig, spinning this wild tale to Commissioner Gordon at Iceberg Lounge. Get ready to dive into a world where DC's brightest star is reimagined as a creature of the night. Now, just before we go into our video, we have a small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. It's a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Now let's begin. The Superman monster. So Peregrine White, this big shot newspaper guy, exchanges spooky stories with Commissioner Gordon at Gotham's Iceberg Lounge, circa 1888. White spins this tale about Victor Luthor, a mad scientist type studying at Ingolstadt, Bavaria, around 1883. Luthor had this wild idea to bring some dead stuff back to life. It goes without saying that his college professors, like any sane person, were totally freaked out, calling it all kinds of wrong and booting him out of college. Now Luthor's not just a brainiac, he has some sketchy plans too. He tries to woo Eloise Edge, the local bigwig's daughter, to get his hands on her family's money, which would become the source of funding for his weird experiments. But at their engagement bash, Eloise's dad tells him something that shocks Luthor. So their prenup was airtight and Luthor won't see a dime of the Edge's family money. Naturally, Luthor becomes steaming mad, he ditches the party, and then, talk about weird timing, he spots something from outer space crashing into the forest. I'm assuming it's not difficult to imagine who or what this bogey from space was. Come on, it's right there in the title. So Victor Luthor goes to check out the crash site, right? And what does he find there? A high-tech alien spaceship with a little baby's remains. He accidentally triggers a hologram of Jor-El, the alien who designed the ship. Jor-El reveals everything about how he was trying to save his kid, Kal-El, from their doomed planet Krypton. Luthor, being the opportunist he is, uses the alien tech secrets from the ship to whip up this revival Matrix thing, thinking he can bring back the dead. He gets his hands dirty cobbling together a body from parts he snags from a grave robber, who he then offs to keep his project on the down low. But here's where it gets freaky. When he zaps the body with his matrix, what he gets isn't exactly what he had planned. Instead of a normal dude, he gets this creepy, scarred, pale version of Superman with some. The lab catches fire, and even though Luthor's not winning any Father of the Year awards, the creature saves him from the blaze. Soon, even though Luthor discarded the Superman monster, the latter played his part as a son, which Luthor did not deserve. I think by now it's abundantly clear that this Superman was Luthor's Frankenstein monster, so why don't we just call him Franken-Superman? So anyway, this Franken-Superman, all confused and freaked out, stumbles into Ingolstadt. With his super senses on overdrive, the hustle and bustle of the town is far too much. But hey, he's got a hero streak. He jumps in to save a runaway carriage, and who's inside? None other than Eloise. She's all nice and thankful, but the rest of the town, not so much. They're scared stiff of him and chase him away. So he ends up at this remote farm run by Johann and Martha Kant, a sweet old couple who recently lost their son. They're heartbroken and take in this oddball, naming him Klaus. Klaus starts helping around the farm with his super skills, and bit by bit he starts looking and acting more human. And who knew that farm life could be such a good makeover? Klaus likes it at the Kant farm, but of course he can't forget Luthor and is like, I gotta sort things out with my maker. But the word of his super antics have already reached Luthor. Luthor, in full panic mode, needs to cover his tracks and pays a mob to trash the Kant place. It gets ugly, and Johann and Martha do not live to tell the tale. Klaus, mad as heck, goes after Luthor only to get knocked down by a green stone that Luthor has turned into a cane. Yes, the same rock from the spaceship. Now we know what this green stone is, don't we? I'll give you a hint. It rhymes with Dark Knight. Luthor thinks Klaus is out for the count and so heads back to town to tie the knot with Eloise. But hold up, Klaus crashes the wedding, demanding Luthor owns up to his mess. But what's a Victorian era wedding about twisted superheroes without a little drama? So Klaus and Eloise recognise one another, and while they're figuring that out, Luthor tries to play a dirty trick and shoots at Klaus. The bullets bounce off him, but more drama at Drama Central. They hit Eloise instead and she's gone. Luther, now totally losing it, goes to town on Klaus with his green stone cane. After the wedding fiasco, Luther totally loses it. He kills Burgomeister Edge and swipes Eloise's body, hell-bent on bringing her back with his revival matrix. His buddy James Olafsson stumbles upon this mad scene and tries to intervene, but Luther shoots him. James, barely hanging on, makes it to the cellar where Klaus is trapped by those green rocks. With his last bit of strength, James frees Klaus. Klaus confronts Luther and finds out, surprise surprise, that Luther actually managed to bring her back to life, but she's looking all scarred and twisted, just like Klaus did at first. She's not exactly thrilled about being back herself. She's definitely not into Luther anymore. Klaus, being a decent guy, offers to help Eloise adjust to her new weird life, and she's game for that. When Luther tries to butt in, he gets the short end of the stick. In the chaos, a fire starts wrecking the revival matrix. Klaus and Eloise, fireproof as they are, have a moment and take off flying, leaving Luther to deal with the mess he's made. Gordon, ever the skeptic, cuts into White's story here. How on earth do you know all this? White drops in another twist. He met a totally bonkers Luthor while on a ship stuck in ice heading to Archangel. Coming back to the story, Luther, obsessed and out of his mind, was hunting for some fortress of solitude where he thought Klaus and Eloise had run off to. White got the scoop from Luther's journals and his loopy rants, but Luther didn't last long and died from the cold. And here's where it gets wilder. As White's chilling with Luther's frozen body, Klaus shows up, looking all healed and shining like a Christmas tree. Klaus, with laser eyes, zaps the ice and frees the ship. Then he scoops up Luther's body and zooms off into the sky. Marvelous verdict. In The Superman Monster, DC Elseworlds does what it does best, flips the script on our favourite heroes. This time it's Superman who gets the gothic remix, mashing up his story with Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Think of it as Superman meets Victorian horror with a nod to John Byrne's modern reboot of the character. This Superman's got a rough, scarred look, but don't expect the mute zombie vibe of the old Boris Karloff films. He also has eloquence. He's even rocking a black outfit reminiscent of Superman's recovery suit, underscoring his whole back from the dead vibe. The characters get a classic Elseworld shuffle too. Eloise is our Lois Lane stand-in, with a hint of the Bride of Frankenstein. Only here she's an Edge, not a Lane, linking her to Morgan Edge instead of Sam Lane. Perry White becomes Peregrine White, and we've also got versions of Jimmy Olsen and Emil Hamilton in the mix. Superman's adoptive family, they're the Kants, with our hero taking the name of their late son Klaus. And what's a super story without some kryptonite? Yes, the iconic green rock makes an appearance. But unlike Shelley's tragic tale, the Superman monster gives our Victorian Superman a bit of a brighter ending. Seems like he's really championed truth, justice, and the Victorian way. And if you want to explore Batman Two-Faces, you know exactly where to comment. And of course, if you like our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't done so already. Otherwise, have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.